Our next storyteller has taken my class at the Magnet Theater. I'm going to do a little plug here. So I teach storytelling at the Magnet Theater. I've been doing that for 14 years too. Go figure. Wow. And just a lot of nice people. And with the show, I'm trying to get some of my students up here to perform. And this gentleman just worked extremely hard. Really took it really serious, and also helped a lot of other people in the class as far as their feedback and stuff like that. Really contributed to the class, and so I'm really excited to have you come up here. Danny Goldberg, everybody. Danny, come on. Give me up for Danny.
So when I was in the 4th grade, a girl named Emily kissed me on the cheek, and I fell in love instantly. But like any good middle school love story, about 5 minutes later, Emily dumped me. They say you're never supposed to remain friends with an ex, but we were only 10 years old, so we decided, what the heck. Now, going into the 11th grade, about a week before school was supposed to start, Emily sent me a text letting me know that she was going to be switching schools. And that kiss in the 4th grade left some impression in my life. And I was determined, and I knew if I stood any chance of possibly getting back with her, I at the very least needed to be in the same school as her. So I got creative, and later that night when I got home, I told my mom, listen, I know this sounds crazy, but is there any way that I could please switch schools? The bus route's long, please. And my mom, being the lovely woman she was, let me. So going to the 11th grade, I followed Emily and I switched schools. Ironically, when I got to the new school, Emily had a boyfriend, and shortly after that, I had a girlfriend. From that point forward, we sort of naturally drifted apart, and fast forward a little bit, after college, moved into Manhattan, and I got involved in a nonprofit. I wanted to recruit some friends, so I reached out to Emily. Mind you, it had been a couple of years since I had last seen her, but I thought she'd make a great fit. And I reached out to Emily and recruited her to get involved in the nonprofit. I hadn't seen her in a while, but when she arrived, it was as if no time had passed. I just felt this feeling in my heart. I mean, she was smart, beautiful, had this amazing smile, and I so wanted her to be my girlfriend. I just needed to tell her how I felt. So now we're back in each other's lives, and every couple of months we'd go on one of these like friend dates. To me, kind of more like a date, but to her, definitely more of a friend date. And every time we go on these friend dates, we'd have the best time laughing, smiling. And I tell my guy friends always at the beginning of the night, listen, tonight I'm gonna finally tell her how I feel. But then at the end of the night, I'd bite my tongue. I'd think, what if she rejected me and it ruined our friendship forever? Or what if she didn't and I wasn't ready for her? It was tough. I was terrified. Have you ever had that moment of crippling fear or doubt where you know exactly what you want, but you're terrified to take that first step? I have. That fear held me back for years, and I became a broken record, telling my guy friends, tonight's going to be the night, only to come home disappointed that yet again, I hadn't told her anything. I mean, my best friend David told me, dude, enough. You are so deep in the friend zone, it is time to move on. And move on is pretty much exactly what I ended up doing. A couple of years went by, and I went home to see my mom, and I'm sitting downstairs on the couch waiting for her to come in the room, and in she walks. She's wearing a big green sweatshirt and baggy Syracuse orange sweats, and she sits down next to me and she says, I have to talk to you about something. She grabs my hands and she said, I have cancer. I couldn't even believe the words that just came out of her mouth. Only 5 years earlier, my dad had died from cancer, and I knew a long road was ahead. But despite the news, something beautiful happened. For the next 2 months, as my mom was in the hospital, she'd share these bits of gold with me. She'd say things like, life's hard, it's not fair, and life is glorious, so find your glory. She'd say, don't let this moment define you, let it guide you. The second my mom checked into the hospital, I started to think about life and death, and I recognized that life is so fragile, that each day alive is a gift and not a guarantee. And I started to think about how and where I wanted to spend my time and with whom. And it was so evident and it was so abundantly clear that I needed to tell Emily how I felt. From the second my mom checked in the hospital, Emily was by my side. So one day, after a long day in the hospital, Emily and I decided to go for sushi at one of our favorite spots. And as we sit down, my mind is racing. I'm thinking, how in the world am I going to finally tell her how I feel? Towards the end of the meal, the check comes, and I'm thinking, okay, now is the time. And she says, ice cream? And I thought, oh my God, yes, anything to buy myself just a little bit more time. We go get ice cream, and we're walking back to her apartment, and as we get to the front door, she goes in to hug me goodnight. I take a step back, and I said, Emily, I'm just curious, is there a world where you see us as more than just friends? Emily was caught completely off guard. She said, I don't know, why are you asking? Equally surprised by the words that just came out of my mouth. And now trying to play it all cool, I said, I don't know, just curious? Emily made it clear she wanted to be there for me as a friend. So we hug goodnight, Emily goes upstairs, and I start walking home. The second I got to the corner, I called one of my best friends, and I said, dude, I did it. I finally told Emily. He said, amazing. What did you tell her? I asked her if she saw us as more than just friends. He said, amazing. But what did you tell her? Click. And it was in that moment I realized I actually hadn't told her anything at all. So the next night, I went back over her apartment, and I just unleashed everything that I've been holding in for years. I said, Emily, I know I have a lot going on right now with my mom, but I want you to know I've always cared about you more than anyone in the entire world. And I'm not saying date me next week or month or even year, but I can't imagine a future where we don't at least give it a shot. Emily made it clear that right now she wanted to be there for me as a friend, but we could worry about the rest later. This time, I finally did it. The next day, I went to the hospital and I told my mom that I finally confessed my feelings to Emily. Despite being sick and weak, my mom smiled so big, and she promised she'd come around. She said, just be patient. My mom spent her last days dying by showing me how to keep living. And in understanding the fragility in life, that gave me the courage to tell Emily how I felt. And turns out, mom's always right. Shortly after that, my mom passed away. And a couple days after, Emily and I kissed for the first time. And today, I'm married to Emily. Thank you.
Good job, dude. One more